The first thing they told us was to stay indoors, but they never said why. Not at first. They didn't need to. Once the army trucks rolled up and parked at every intersection, the message was clear. Home was the only place you were allowed to be. I was in my kitchen microwaving leftover mac and cheese, thinking about how I should call Mom, when the first curfew siren hit. The sound rattled the glass. That's when I realized nobody was messing around. I turned off the TV and stood there, spoon in my hand, staring at the blinking red numbers on the microwave like maybe they'd change if I waited long enough. On Monday, everything got weird. The news anchors started reading from scripts. The mayor looked like he hadn't slept in days, and there was a soldier standing over his shoulder, half in frame, one hand never leaving his sidearm. "It's for your safety," they kept repeating. They shut down the highways first. A cop blocked the end of my street. A Humvee parked at the other end, and nobody was allowed past unless you had a paper pass taped to your windshield. "Essential personnel," they said. I'm an out-of-work substitute teacher. Nobody's idea of essential. My neighbor, Gary, tried to get to his job at Home Depot. I saw him walk back 10 minutes later, face red, cursing under his breath, slamming his front door so hard his porch light popped. Phones were the next to go. One minute I was scrolling through Instagram, watching people post stupid memes about government zombie training, and the next, my feed just wouldn't load. No calls in or out. That was scarier than the Humvees, honestly. The silence. I knocked on my friend Rachel's door 2 apartments over, but nobody answered. Her car was gone. I tried texting her, but the little sending bubble just spun and spun. The next day, drones started buzzing overhead, low, loud, scanning the yards. It felt like every eye in the sky was watching us breathe. My neighbor's kid, little Mikey, asked me why they were flying so close. I told him it was just a new kind of Amazon delivery. I lied, and he knew it. People vanished. That's not an exaggeration. One night, Mr. Halverson, guy who'd lived across from me for 7 years, always in his lawn chair, always grilling something, he just didn't come out. His wife said he left for a late shift and never came back. By Thursday, the whole street whispered about containment. It all started to feel like a bad movie until the guy showed up. Just after sunset, I saw a man walking down the middle of the road, dragging a baseball bat. He was yelling something I couldn't understand. Everyone saw him. Nobody did anything. He kept screaming, swinging at parked cars. Eventually, 2 soldiers grabbed him. One had a taser. The man went down hard, face first on the pavement. He didn't move. The soldiers looked at each other, then up at all of us, watching from behind curtains and blinds. They loaded the guy into the back of a black van, and just like that, he was gone. Later, I heard someone say he was showing symptoms. That's when I stopped obeying. At first, it was little stuff, covering my windows, unplugging my smart TV, smashing the camera on my laptop with a screwdriver. My group, there were 5 of us, all from the same apartment building, started meeting up in the basement, keeping the lights off. One of the older guys, Ron, said he'd been through riots in the 90s, knew a few things. He taught us how to reinforce doors, block vents, stack furniture so it wouldn't fall if someone tried to bust in. He showed me how to use a bat properly. Aim for the knees, he said. Nobody fights back after that. I haven't heard from my mom since Tuesday. I keep telling myself it's because the phones are down, but it gnaws at me. I dream about her sometimes, standing on the porch, waving at me, but I can't open the door. If I do, something awful will get inside. These are rules that don't make sense until you realize, too late, that they're the only things keeping you alive. There's no real night anymore. The city lights died when the power grids went out, but it's never dark. Not really. Not with all the fires burning. Trash bins, dumpsters, car wrecks, anything to keep the shadows at bay. I don't know if it's superstition or survival, but every night someone lights a flame. We all watch through the cracks in the curtains and pray the things outside keep moving. It started for us the night we heard the first glass shatter. It was 3 in the morning, and the building was dead quiet except for Ron's heavy breathing and the constant drip of water somewhere in the pipes. I thought I'd imagined it until I saw Jackie, youngest in our group, bolt upright, eyes wide. She heard it too. It came again, sharper. Then the screaming started. It wasn't the kind of screaming you expect. Not all wild and panicked, just short, strangled, like whoever it was already knew what was coming and didn't want to make a big deal about it. The sound cut off, just like that. No gunshots, no running, no nothing. We all froze. Ron whispered, "They only come at night." Nobody argued. We sat in that dark basement, clutching our makeshift weapons, bats, pipes, kitchen knives duct taped to broom handles. Every window upstairs was covered, every door barricaded. We'd pushed couches, desks, even my busted fridge in front of the back door. Didn't matter. That night, whatever was hunting didn't try our building. We counted that as luck. I started wondering if luck even existed anymore. We didn't stick around to find out. The next morning, after a few minutes of arguing and the kind of group vote that's more panicked than democratic, we bailed. Ron said the sewers ran all the way to the other side of the city. If we could reach the maintenance hatch at the end of the block, we might just make it. I packed my life into a backpack, protein bars, a flashlight, extra batteries, a picture of my mom and me at the lake. I left the apartment key on the table, like I was planning to come back, like the world wasn't burning. Getting into the sewer was a nightmare. It took 3 of us to pry the grate up, and the second we dropped down, the smell hit like a wall. Jackie threw up. I almost did too. We moved single file, flashlight beams darting over graffiti, trash, and the occasional rat that looked as scared as we felt. Every sound echoed. Every splash could have been something chasing us. At one point we heard scraping up ahead, slow, steady, like someone dragging metal over concrete. We killed the lights and crouched, barely breathing. A figure passed by, hunched and twitching, dragging what looked like a shovel. It didn't see us, I think. I still don't know what it was. Somewhere in those tunnels, things started getting strange. We found a side room with old benches and a busted vending machine. Everyone crashed out except me and Jackie. She sat there staring at nothing, her face pale, lips moving like she was talking to someone. I nudged her. "You okay?" She looked at me, but for a second, her eyes didn't focus. She smiled. "I dreamed about my sister," she said. "She was here. We were just kids again. Everything was normal." That hit hard. Jackie's sister died a year ago. I'd gone to the funeral with her. We both knew it. But right then, she said her sister was waiting for her, outside the tunnel. I didn't argue, not after what we'd seen. That was when the air in the room felt wrong, heavy, like something was pressing on my chest. Ron called us over. He was staring at the wall, running his fingers over the bricks like he was looking for a secret door. "We gotta move," he said. "They're listening. They want us to remember wrong." After that, nothing felt real. We kept running, kept hiding. The things chasing us didn't break down doors or eat people or any of that movie stuff. They whispered, they talked through vents. I heard my own name, over and over, late at night, in voices that sounded like my friends. Sometimes Jackie called me Eddie, my middle name. Nobody here knew that. Once, Rachel, who I thought was gone, showed up in the tunnel. She acted like nothing happened, but her smile was too wide, too practiced. When she hugged me, I felt cold all over. I pulled away. She didn't blink, just kept smiling. The next day, Jackie didn't remember any of it. She looked at me like I was the one losing it. It got worse. I forgot things. I started calling Ron Dad once. My hands shook so much I dropped my bat. Every time I tried to think about my old life, about my mom, about work, even about my apartment, I saw pieces missing, like someone had cut out whole hours. Jackie laughed too much, even when we were hiding. Ron started writing on the walls over and over, "Don't let them in." But the thing is, it wasn't just doors anymore. It was thoughts, memories, even the way we looked at each other. The infection wasn't in the blood, it was in the mind. And the only thing we could do was keep blocking every entry point, physical, mental, emotional, just to survive the night. Ron was the first to say what we'd all been thinking. We're not getting out. Not unless we take something back. His hands shook as he taped a kitchen knife to the end of a broomstick, face wet with sweat, eyes blazing. We were filthy, exhausted, and starving. I hadn't slept in what felt like days. Every hour underground was another piece of me slipping away. It got so bad I started talking to my own reflection in the muddy water. At least it talked back in my own voice. But something snapped in all of us after we lost Jackie. 1 minute she was right behind me in the sewer, humming an old pop song under her breath. The next, she was gone. Just gone. We heard her voice calling from an abandoned subway tunnel, sweet and cheerful. But when we went after her, there was nothing. Not even footprints. I saw a smear of blood on the bricks, but nobody else did. That's when Ron stood up, wild-eyed, and said, "This city's a cage, but cages can burn." We stopped hiding. We stopped caring about the rules. We found others, kids from the neighborhood, some old folks who'd holed up in their stores, a pair of paramedics who'd lost their ambulance but kept their radios. We armed ourselves with whatever we could find: bats, knives, homemade shields. Someone got a Molotov cocktail together, using a bottle of cheap vodka and a torn-up t-shirt. We moved as a pack, watching the rooftops, eyes stinging from smoke and lack of sleep. It was Ron's idea to hit the checkpoint at 43rd and Main. We waited for the soldiers to change shifts. Then we rushed the gate screaming, throwing bottles and bricks, making as much noise as possible. For a few seconds it worked. The soldiers scattered, gunshots echoing down the street. We pulled open the cage, found prisoners inside, teenagers, a mother with a baby, an old man with missing teeth who kept mumbling about the broadcast. Somebody, maybe it was Rachel, maybe someone else, grabbed a radio and started shouting into it. We hijacked the frequency, screaming warnings to anyone who could hear. "Block your doors, don't trust the voices. If you're hearing this, you're not alone." We could hear other groups answering far away, the city coming alive with angry, terrified people. Fires broke out, sirens wailed, the air got thick with smoke, hope, and something close to freedom. But it cost us. When we tried to move again, Ron got separated. I saw him go down, tackled by 2 infected, their eyes too wide, smiles too perfect. I tried to fight my way to him, but Rachel held me back, yelling that we had to move. I never saw Ron again. That night, we climbed to the roof of a half-burned apartment building, watching the city below. The skyline was in flames. Drones circled overhead, broadcasting static. I saw people breaking out of windows, forming groups in the street. There was no order, but there was unity. For the first time, nobody was waiting for orders. We just acted. Rachel found a working radio. She fiddled with the dials until a clear channel cut through. A woman's voice, frantic, saying, "The truth is out. It's not a virus. It's in your thoughts, your memories. Keep fighting. Don't let them rewrite you." The signal cut in and out, drowned by static and gunfire, but it was enough. We weren't crazy. We weren't alone. By sunrise, the city was a ruin, but we were still alive. I looked at Rachel, her face smeared with ash, eyes wild but clear. She gripped my hand so hard it hurt. Around us, survivors started climbing up from the street, dragging the wounded, carrying what little they had left. We stood together, battered but not broken, watching the last of the fires die out. I realized then the infection changed us all. We were harder now, fewer, but braver, scarred, but together. And for the first time, I didn't want to run. I wanted to fight. Because in this new world, survival wasn't just about keeping things out. It was about taking something back. And that's when someone handed me the radio mic, and all eyes turned to me. I took a breath, closed my eyes, and spoke. We are the last line. Block every entry point. Hold your ground. If you can hear me, keep fighting. We are still here. Don't miss the next story. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're first to hear the next emergency warning.